We've spoken about this guy before. His name is Robert Hendricks. I shared with you guys that when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I pioneered. I worked with him and his wife, who were also pioneers, and he was my presiding overseer. I mentioned before his type of disposition and the level of arrogance that he dealt with and the racism, even though, believe it or not, his wife is black. Yeah, I mentioned it in the other video, so watch it if you want to know what happened with the incident between he and I. Anyway, I kept quiet about everything, but that one day, it was just the wrong day for him to be an overt, outright bigot in front of me, as though it was okay, and as though it was godlike or good, loving, and caring. He's a hypocrite. And so I imagine that his wife was tortured by his level of condescending behavior towards her. She didn't have very many securities about herself. She had very low self-esteem. And one incident occurred where, I've always had very long hair down my back, very, very thick. And I often just put it up in a ponytail, like it wasn't anything big to me. But to her, because she wore wigs and hats and it didn't grow, she was very insecure, and he made her feel that way. I remember mentioning how I was going to cut my hair, and I was going to cut it shoulder length, and he was like adamantly like, why would you cut that beautiful hair? Why don't you just give it to my wife? Like literally, guys. He said, why don't you just give it to my wife? Yeah, very strange. And I could see the hurt in her eyes when he said that. And in fact, I do remember her bringing it up in front of him and kind of chastising him about that remark. I remember also wearing a dress and to a wedding, and they were there, and maybe it was a bit seductive, but to me it was very modest. But it was very, it gained a lot of attention, not because it showed anything, just because of the style of the dress. It was very, very classy, really elegant. And he asked me to lend it to his wife, like just stuff like that. And guys, honestly, I cared about him and his wife. I really loved them in the indoctrination mode that I was in. Because remember, at that time, I was believing it was the truth. It wasn't until Robert Hendricks showed me the racist that he is and the horrible things he said about black and Hispanic people. And he tried to justify it, So it was once that happened that I began to see his true face. And look at it. Look at his face. And when you look at it, tell me what you see. I mean, seriously, guys. It's written all over his face, right? And so we attempted to discard or attempted to conceal that our thoughts of his persuasions, whatever they may have been, they just didn't seem as though they were on the how could I say this, right? They just seemed as though there was some things going on with him, right? That he hid from everyone. And the way that he did it was to play that he was God, to scare people and to intimidate people, to follow his every command, and for everyone to attempt to impress him. I mean, it was so disgusting and degrading to see grown adults try to impress this man because he had so much power. I mean, look at his name. He's the third, right? Robert J. Hendricks III. I mean, that is just putting on airs, isn't it? And that was the level of arrogance that he and his family exuded. And they gained prominence within the organization. And now he's a speaker, he's a spokesperson for the Watchtower. And he has pretty high ambitions, and I believe he's going to make it there. But just listen to what he says in this video. He's lying through his teeth. And at the end of this, I'll share another example of why I know he's lying through his teeth. Take a listen.
All public meetings and even our public ministry.
Obviously, Jehovah's Witnesses are doing something pretty unprecedented in the history of Jehovah's Witnesses. I understand typically there's a district convention which happens each and every year, but this time, this is the first time you're doing it online. Why?
Well, back in March, we decided as an organization that all public meetings and even our public ministry would have to stop. The basis for that was very simple, two Christian principles that we all agree on. One of them is that we respect the sanctity of life. And so knocking on doors, being in the public ministry, bringing people together in a public meeting would not respect that basic tenet of Christianity. And also the second greatest commandment, which is love your neighbor. And because we love our neighbor, knocking on their doors we felt was not something that would be showing that love, and bringing them to our public place would not be loving. It's interesting because those are the two principles that guide us in all the things that we do. The reason why we knock on doors, the reason why we invite people to our meetings is because we love them and because we're worried about their life. We want to help them, but now these same two principles have caused us to say stop. And it's...
Look at him, guys. This man is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He doesn't believe anything that he is saying. He's an actor on a stage. He is Robert J. Hendricks III. He's part of the hierarchy. They perform. They pay for publicity. And they even have certain media outlets as their paid agents. I mean, these guys are snakes in the grass. And Robert Hendricks has been groomed for the job. I knew this man. I know this man. Just look at his face and discern the spirit that he is working with. When I was leaving the Watchtower, I was a pioneer, and Robert Hendricks was so distraught that I was leaving and my family, because we were considered anchors in the congregation. So Robert Hendriks wanted to save me from leaving, and so he actually brought the circuit overseer to my home to try to convince me out of leaving. It didn't work, though. And so they let me know that I would be shunned, that they wanted to try to stop me from doing that because they felt, Robert Hendriks told me, that a lot of people looked up to me and they knew how much I was so dedicated to what I believed at the time was the truth, that he was afraid that so many people would follow me, especially if they heard my reasons. If I had a moment and a chance to explain why I was leaving, he knew that it was a danger. And so one thing he said to me before he left, when I told him that it was a lie, that the Watchtower was an organization of deception, he told me that they do lie. And he also told me that, okay guys, listen to this. Your spokesman that you praise and honor and idolize, he confided in me and told me that he knows that the Jehovah's Witnesses are not the truth. I swear to you, I would not lie to you guys. He told me that he knows that the Jehovah's Witness organization is not the truth. He also said that it was not a channel to God, and that, yes, when I pointed out to him the scripture in 1 John 2:27, he admitted that I was correct, that you did not need any organization or idol to have God. Look at this face of deception. He is deceiving you for power. He is power hungry because he has ambitions. He has always had ambitions, and so he played the game so well. They sent him to college and they groomed him and they prepared him for this job. I mean, reflect back on his answers to the fake news reporters, right? He was staged for that. It was scripted. He knows exactly what to say and how to say it, just like a snake that slivers and deceives and lies. This man is a snake and a liar, designed and groomed by the organization that has prepared him for this work because he's so damn good at it. He makes everyone in that organization feel like crap because he walks the walk and talks the talk so well, even though you can see that he's hiding so much. And so everyone thinks he's God. They swear that this man is the closest thing to God. And so they idolize him just like the organization that prepared him and groomed him for this day when he would take the stage. Look at this paid actor, a man that is so arrogant and so greedy for power that he would go so far as to deceive you, to join and remain in an organization that he admitted to me was not the truth and was not the way to God. a wolf in sheep's clothing. Indeed, from the testimony of someone that knew him and his wife very well.